On the phone with me now, Colonel Conrad Reynolds, retired Army colonel of 29 years, if I remember correctly, and currently running for Arkansas District 2 for the U.S. House of Representatives. Conrad, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Brad. Thanks for having me on, man.
It's exciting.
We're down to the wire, aren't we not?
I was going to say, it's exciting. We're getting there. We got, 2 more days of early voting, and then do we have Monday? Do we get early voting on Monday?
Yeah, I think you do.
Okay, yeah. So we got 3 more days, I guess, early voting, and then Tuesday as well. So I had your opponent on yesterday. We talked a little bit and talked about a lot of things. I've had you on a few times, and we've I feel like we've kind of become friends. So it's been good to get to know you. As we've had these conversations over the last several weeks. I guess let's start with this. How do you feel like the candidacy is going? How do you feel like the campaign is moving along? Are you still feeling good about the polling data and what you're hearing out on the trail?
I do. We have more excitement than you could imagine. Really. I mean, we have a lot of people that unsolicited who come up to me and go, thank God somebody's running against Mr. Hill. And thank God we got somebody who can be a voice. People are just fed up across the board. They're just fed up with Congress because Congress didn't stand up and fight for them.
Right.
And we all see it. We've all seen it for the last couple of years. They play these word games and they say things that sound good, but when they go up to D.C., they don't fight for us at all. And we see it in their voting, and people are awake. They see it. And I think, Brad, we're going to see probably a record turnout for an off-presidential year.
So I think I would agree with you there. I've seen this. I think it was I was listening to Ben Shapiro last night, late night, and I was thinking he was talking about I think was it Pennsylvania, like 150% turnout over what they saw the last off presidential election year, and so I think that's going to be true of just about everywhere in the country. As we've talked before, and one of the questions I've asked you before is, what are you hearing from folks out on the campaign trail? What's the number one issue? Has any of that changed? Are they still feeling the same things, or are you seeing a little bit of a shift with some of the inflation stuff and gas prices and things?
Well, of course, the gas prices are at the top of everybody's list. But we put a question out on Facebook earlier today saying, hey, tell us when I get to Congress, if I'm so fortunate enough to get elected and go to Congress, what do you want me to focus on first? Oh, my gosh. We had over 200 people respond, like within a couple of hours. And it was fight for election integrity. That was one of the top ones. Also, secure the southern border. Quit talking about it. Quit saying you've been there 6 times and pointing at it. We all know it's a problem. Fix it. Brad, and a lot of them have told me, why is it that we've had this border problem since 1986? After President Reagan gave amnesty to 3.5 million illegals, the promise from Congress at the time was they were going to secure the border. Well, here we are almost 40 years later, and they still haven't done it. The only president that really wanted to was Trump, and we had the House. We had the Senate in 17 and 18, and guess what? They didn't get it done. That's because they don't want it, even though 80% of the American public want it secure. So that tells you everything you need to know about who's really controlling our Congress. Yeah. It's not the people.
Well, and Conrad, that's one of the other questions there, the frustrations that I have is I love to hear you or really any elected official tell me they're going to go to the border and do what they can to get it fixed. But then I also look at it, you got 200 and some other Republicans in the House that are generally useless and cowards. So how do you get that stuff done? What do you do personally to actually make it happen?
Well, what you do is you point them out. You point out the rhinos. I don't care who they are. Someone has got to say, look, I'm breaking with this group mentality, and I'm going to point out the rhinos, the ones that are dragging their feet on legislation that really and truly could fix the problem. I don't have to go to the border to fix it. You fix it in Congress. You got the power of the purse. The people in Congress have got to fix it. And the people listening to this radio station right now need to understand, we've got this year, okay, and then we got 2024 to make a change in Congress to get rid of the rhinos. We're going to get rid of several of them this year. We're going to start here in the 2nd District. But we're going to get more. We're going to get rid of more of them in 2024 when we get a new president. I hope it's President Trump, but it may be DeSantis, it may be somebody else, but they're going to be conservative. But if they don't have a Congress that's going to vote the right way, Brad, I've said this on your show many times, we're never going to get what we want. And I'm going to be there. I want a congressman that's going to fight for us. I want a congressman that's not going to play word games. And I've said it before, I want a congressman like Jim Jordan. I want somebody that's going to call it out. Okay? Just when people play word games, just like my opponent said on this balanced budget thing that he said he was a sponsor of, look, everybody in Congress knew it was a pretend. They knew it was never going to pass. They knew it was a joke because 3 weeks before that, they voted for a $1.3 trillion omnibus bill. But no one remembers that. My opponent won't bring that up. He won't say it. He won't talk about that bill. He just talks about the one they all knew was just a dog and pony show. And Jim Jordan called him out right there on the House floor. And that's why we got to get rid of these rhinos. And we're going to start with Mr. Hill. I want somebody to tell it straight. That's the way I did in the Army. That's the way I do in life. And if I don't know the answer, I tell people, I will find out. But I'm not going to play word games with you in order for the D.C. swamp to get its way.
Now, Conrad, this is another thing. I'm glad you brought it up this way, because this is one of the things that I've been frustrated with for a decade or more now, even before I was doing radio, is these, like the omnibus bills or spending bills and things like that. The Congress has not really been adhering to what is commonly referred to as regular order for ages. How do you take that fight to the Hill and say, look, we got to get back to doing this the way we are required to do this. And let's have our individual 12 spending bills from the various committees and all of that, and then put them together as a budget.
Well, the reason they haven't been able to do it is because they found out that it's easier never to do it and then pass these omnibus bills. We only have like 10 hours to look over a 3,000-page bill, and then you get an hour to debate it. That way they don't have to make any tough decisions, and that's why I call them cowards, because they're not willing to tell the American people we can no longer afford to spend like we're spending. My opponent yesterday on your show talked about, the Democrats are spending like drunken sailors. Really? Well, yeah, you are, and the rhinos were too, and the Republicans did the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and we just authorized another $40 billion to Ukraine.
There you go. $40 billion to Ukraine, a $400 million vaccine national database. There you go, with suspension of rules to pass that. That is the kind of spending that people like me and other people, like in the Freedom Caucus, can speak out against. And we got to get more people in the Freedom Caucus. I've talked about this before on your show. I will be the first congressman in Arkansas to be part of the Freedom Caucus, and I want every congressman in Arkansas to be part of the Freedom Caucus. We need about 140, 180 people if we can over time to get in there, and that we can really change things if we do that.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just going to be me. But hey, look, I fought a lot of these bills alone. I believe in our Constitution. I believe our Constitution stands on its own, and it seems like the people in Congress haven't read it.
Yeah, boy, it sure seems like it, doesn't it? Conrad, I appreciate the time. I've got to take a quick break. Can you stick with me? We'll talk a little bit more.
You bet.
All right, the Schmidt Show continues next. My guest, Colonel Conrad Reynolds, running for U.S. Congress, Arkansas District 2. The Schmidt Show continues next. Welcome back to the Schmidt Show. I am your host, Brad Schmidt. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. 501-403-KRN is the number, but I guess you have to give me a call after we're done with the interview with Conrad Reynolds, because he is currently on the phone. He's running for U.S. House of Representatives, Arkansas District 2. Conrad, again, thanks for joining me here on the show. Let's dream.
Well, thanks, Brad. Listen, by the way, can I preempt you here?
Yeah.
I appreciate you calling Congressman starting off. I know that was just a slip, but I'd rather be called by my preferred pronoun, if you will. It's ultra MAGA.
I apologize. I've done that. I don't know how many times with you. I've called you Congressman, and I think it's because there's the Colonel Conrad and Congressman and all. So I've done that several times now. Maybe it's
you just call me ultra MAGA now.
All right. So, Colonel, let's dream a little bit. Let's dream a little bit about what it looks like. 2022, we take back the House, right? We come November, we return the House of Representatives to Republican control. Who do you like for Speaker of the House? And well, let's start with that. Who do you like for the possibility of the Speaker of the House?
Well, I've always said, man, I'll vote for Donald Trump in a heartbeat. I know that's not possible, but it's kind of nice to think about, right?
Yeah. And actually, I think constitutionally it might be. I've done a little digging into this.
Well, he can do it. You can vote for him.
Yeah.
But I think that he's already put out that he's not interested in being Speaker of the House. But if he were, he would be my first. I really would like for somebody from the Freedom Caucus, to be honest with you. Jim Jordan, that's who I'm looking for. Maybe Andy Biggs. Those are the kind of people that have the same small-town values that I think that we have, who really want to do the right thing and rein in Congress, rein in our spending. And we have to do that for our children and grandchildren. So to be honest with you, I'm going to wait and see what happens. But if elected, I'm going to be looking a different way than what we currently have. I'll tell you that.
So then let's dream a little bit farther. We do take the House. We take the Senate. Does it happen? Do we get a veto-proof majority in 2022? Do we have to wait till 2024 to that to happen, or is that never a realistic possibility?
No, I think it's going to be 2024, to be honest with you. I think that we're going to need more and more people. And when people see that these people can be beaten, you don't need $2 million.
Right.
Okay, you just need the right message. You need to have someone that can convey that message and say, look, because I think people are upset. I mean, we see it in the people going to the polls right now. And I think that when people see that we can win and we can start winning people that will be in the Freedom Caucus, and I think there were 5 that won a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, that want to be in the Freedom Caucus. They won their primaries.
Right.
So that bodes well for people going out and voting for the right folks, the conservative Republicans, not rhinos. We can no longer put rhinos in office, people, because I tell you, nothing's going to change. We've got to put America first. That's why I got squarely behind President Trump, because it's not that we're mindless robots, following, the dear leader. That's crazy.
Right.
What we finally found is a leader that represented us, that said, hey, I believe in what you believe in.
Right.
And he was willing to fight for it. And Lord knows, man, that man has taken a lot of heat.
Yeah, a lot of slings and arrows come his way. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. For whom? He didn't have to do that.
Right.
He did that because he thinks it's the right thing, and that's why I think it's the right thing, and that's why I'm running in this race.
So, Colonel Reynolds, with that in mind, I've argued in the past that I'm tired of compromise. I'm sick and tired of Republicans compromising with Democrats, because every time the Republicans compromise, the American people lose because they don't know how to compromise. And I've said, and I'm going to kind of shorten it up here, but I said I want every Republican on Capitol Hill ready to stab every Democrat in the back at any turn, and I want every Democrat on Capitol Hill ready to stab every Republican in the back, because it forces some accountability. If you Conrad, as a congressman, if you know that
right.
everywhere you turn a Democrat is looking to get you, you're going to behave a little more, right? Is that pie in the sky thinking?
Well, look, you got to be unafraid to vote no. You've got to be able to say, no, we're not doing that. And unfortunately, everybody's get along to Washington, D.C. because they're all getting wealthy. Really.
Right.
They're all making money off of it. And they're big supporters, their big donors are making money off of it. And it's a machine that is just in perpetual motion, and no one can put the brakes on it. But you can do that if you get strong people. Okay? I mean, that's what I want. I want people who have got strong people, and that's part of me. I'm not going to become part of the D.C. machine. I make that promise to all your listeners. I will never be part of the D.C. machine. That's why they're fighting so hard to defeat me right now. Right now, they don't want me in. That's why none of the major news networks in Arkansas have even mentioned my name, not even mentioned me.
Right.
Okay? I mean, believe that. The Dem guys have put out a couple of hit articles on me. Okay? They never taken the time, to really interview me or get to know me. No, they come out with a thing supporting French. And also you have the other, what I call the IPP, the Incumbent Protection Program. These organizations that say they're for a cause, but they come out and endorse people in the primary when these people are not serving the interest of the people that they're supposed to. And I'm telling you right now, I'm upset about that, but we can fix it. We just got to start getting the right people in. And so I ask everybody, I ask for your vote. Please go out and vote. Tell your friends to go vote. Get your neighbors, put them in the car, go down and buy ice cream, whatever it takes. Text your friends and say, hey, go vote, because that's how we're going to win this thing, not sitting on our rear.
So with again, kind of taking off of that, one of the things that I think is undeniable in all of this is that your passion to take the fight to those that would wish to do this country harm is like I said, undeniable. One of the things that I would ask, and I think I've asked you this before, but I just want to kind of reiterate it: if you are elected, will you commit to doing a weekly, talk radio town hall here on the Schmidt Show? Take questions from listeners and take calls and answer questions from constituents.
I've already committed. I've already told you I will. Yeah. In fact, I'll probably be the most accessible congressman they've had probably in their lifetime, because I believe it's important to be connected. I don't care if it's in Primm, Arkansas. I go up there and talk to them. Wilburn, all these little cities and all the little towns. That's where our strength as a country comes from. And you got to be out there talking to those people. It's not. I mean, Little Rock is important. Don't get me wrong.
Of course,
I love the people of Little Rock, but in Benton and Conway. But these other towns also need me, because I'm their voice too.
Right.
So the people in Cleveland County, Heber Springs, Benton, Saline County. I mean, I'm going to be a voice for you. I promise you that.
Gotcha. Congress did it again. Conrad, we are out of time. I appreciate the time. We'll, maybe that's prophetic. I don't know. I don't think I'm that good, but the Schmidt Show will continue. My guest, Conrad Reynolds, will talk to you again in the near future. The Schmidt Show's next on News Radio 102.9 KARN.